I have been on their cover like 14 or 15 times. I think we have the all-time record in the history of Time magazine.
The audience was the biggest ever, but this crowd was massive. Look how far back it goes. This crowd was massive.
I guess it was the biggest electoral college win since Ronald Reagan.
Obamacare covers very few people.
The fake media goes, Donald Trump has changed his stance on China. I haven't changed my stance.
Now, the Paris Agreement, they all say it's non-binding. Like hell, it's non-binding.
From the trivial to the important, those are just some of the lies that the New York Times included in its massive new list of every lie Donald Trump has told in the first 154 days of the Trump presidency. The list of Trump lies filled an entire page of the New York Times, yesterday's print edition of the New York Times. It includes only what the Times calls demonstrably false statements. The Times reports that Donald Trump publicly told a lie on 20 of his first 40 days in office, when the Times used what it called a broader standard, one that includes his many misleading statements. It found that he said something untrue every day for the first 40 days of his presidency, and on 74 out of 113 days after that. An example of what the Times called misleading was the president exaggerating military spending in the Middle East. Joining us now, Stuart Thompson, who co-wrote the piece on Trump's lies. He is the graphics director for the opinion section of the New York Times. And Stuart, first of all, thank you, because just right on one piece of paper, I can just carry around
good for
the first I don't know, few hundred days. So this we have to hope is a recurring feature of the New York Times every 2-3 months, something like that, please.
It might be,
You can raise my subscription personally to cover whatever this costs, okay? Yeah. I will personally kick that in. Where did the idea come from to put it all down?
Well, David Leonhardt, columnist at the New York Times, had written about lies several times, and he included in one of his columns a paragraph where he listed a bunch of lies. And I talked to him about that and thought maybe if we looked at the whole universe of statements that he made, we could put together a big list and sort of give a nice gestalt view of the entire list of lies that he's made since his inauguration.
This is an especially fascinating moment for me, because I have been saying Trump and lie in the same sentence since, I guess, 2011, when he first opened his mouth about the president's birth certificate. The rest of the news media was very, very reluctant to do that. The New York Times did not say the word lie with the word Trump until September of 2016. Is that correct?
Sounds right.
Yeah. So like basically in the closing section of the presidential campaign. Are there any regrets at the Times about that? I mean, I understand the struggle that the major newspapers went through on this question, but I noticed at that time, New York Times, LA Times, everybody kind of broke out at the same time, it seems like.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a bit of a tonal shift in the coverage around that time. I think what's unique about this piece is that it's an opinion piece, and it's the subjective view of David and I to evaluate those claims. But we have seen the news section call occasionally, they'll call something a lie, but we can use a sort of broader standard.
Right. But this also could have been done during the campaign. I mean, at any point during the campaign for the last month, this could have been done.
Yeah, definitely, and we only picked it up since the inauguration. We got a lot of comments from people saying, you could extend that back, like you said, back to the birther movement. And
what was the response to this? It went online. This appears in the Sunday opinion section, so in print appears yesterday, but I think I first saw it on Friday.
Yeah, it went up on Friday afternoon, and very quickly was, I think, it was the top article all weekend, top opinion piece, and yeah, it was a very, very popular thing on social media as well.
And when you and David studied this, were there moments where you just started to be, you probably thought you knew what you were getting into? Did your understanding of what you were doing change by the time you got to the end of it?
Yeah, it was difficult to put together, and we had over 400 false statements that we were able to fact check, and we had to cull that list down, and that took a lot of debate to really decide what we thought was qualified as a lie versus just some kind of falsehood.
When you came across something where you thought, well, he might believe this, it's completely wrong, the Earth is flat, but he might believe the Earth is flat, what would you do with one of those?
Yeah, I think that's sort of a theme of his lying. He doesn't necessarily know what the facts are, but in a traditional lie, you sort of willfully deceive people. But he's pretty flippant with the truth, so I think we were able to categorize a lot of those as lies.
Stuart Thompson, it's public service. Trump lies. We've got to keep it going. And as I say, whatever you want to do to my personal subscription price to keep this going, go ahead. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.